Hey everyone, this is Tony Gentilcore, and today I want to talk a little bit about squat assessment and why I deem it's important, but also to be able to differentiate between whether the reason why their squat isn't great is a mobility issue or is it because it's a stability issue. So breaking it down, what I typically do is I start people with their feet forward. A lot of times I'll start with the hands up high, but to take a little bit of the lats out of the equation, I'll go behind the head. And I'm looking at a few different things, like I'm seeing whether or not they're breaking with their knees, are their knees caving in, are the heels coming off the ground. A lot of times people are going to be very poor, so a lot of times they'll be here, it's just not going to look pretty, and a lot of times people are going to deem that to be a mobility issue. They'll just assume that the reason why they can't get the depth or the reason why it's poor is because their hip flexors are tight, their hip stability is weak, any number of factors. So from there, what I'll do is I'll typically put them into a more performance-based squat stance. Then I'll see if it cleans up a little bit, and a lot of times too, it's going to be poor. And conventional wisdom again is going to tell us like, okay, we got to hammer hip mobility. The reason why it isn't great is because their hips are really tight, and we got to work on that. It's weird because if you look at a lot of other things that people have written, like Alan Cosgrove, Mike Boyle, and even Eric, you look at someone's squat, you put them on the back of the table, and if I get a little bit closer, Ryan, there we go. Come to the side a little bit. You can test their hip flexion, and a lot of times people are going to be able to get in that good deep squat position because obviously their spine is stable. But then you put them up in a dynamic stance and it's poor. So I think one variation a lot of trainers and coaches miss is giving people more of a counterbalance. So you'll have them hold a weight, and certainly with the counterbalance it's going to clean up the weight. But a lot of times too, you're going to see people get to proper depth. It's going to clean up significantly because you're getting that anterior core activated. So you get them to engage that anterior core, it's going to give them that stability. And what that's going to do is kind of tell the nervous system to turn off the brakes. So a lot of times the reason why it's poor is their nervous system deems that range of motion is dangerous, and the nervous system doesn't want it to hurt itself, the body to hurt itself. So it's going to put on the brakes, it's going to prevent people from getting to that proper depth on the squat. But if we give them that stability here, get that anterior core activated, give them that stability, it's going to tell the nervous system to kind of cool out a little bit, and we're going to be able to get to a proper depth. So why that's important is when we're doing, when we're programming our squat variations or when we're programming our corrective exercise, you can't just assume that's a mobility issue and you're going to be barking up the wrong tree and doing hip flexor mobilizations and just hip mobility until someone's blue in the face. It's more of a stability issue. So you got to hammer anterior core, get them more stable, and that squat pattern is going to clean up. So that's just something to think about, and there you go.